All right. Good evening. All right, just a second, everybody. Let everybody go ahead and hop on, and we'll get ready to go. Good evening, everybody. What's up? What's up? All right, just a second. We're going to go over the news, major ETFs, stocks that we're watching going into this next week. All right, everybody. Of course, we're always going to do Apple. Good evening, Raj. What's up? How do I find my plays? Save that question for the end. Once we get done, because that's going to take a second. There's a lot of different ways I can answer that question because I play pennies, I play swing trades, I do leaps, I scalp. So each one of those, I'm looking for different criteria in each one of those. So it depends on what answer you're looking for. Thoughts on Spce this week? I'm going to go over that right here in just a second. In fact, right after the news, we're going to go over all 4 major ETFs and what we could see going into this next week. Just a few more seconds, guys, and we're going to get started here. Just want to make sure everybody has a minute to hop in. I don't want to miss anybody. Oh, shit. It's the only place it'll fit. I am. In my long-term portfolio, I do have JMIA. The beautiful thing about it is I have hedged myself so well, just holding long-term. And right now, it's at a... We can go over that tonight. If you'd like, I can write that down, and that can be on the list. Because I think it might be worth taking a look at here. I actually was having a conversation with one of our new members, all the way from Hungary. Pretty cool, man. Simple Stacks is from Japan, France, London, all over America, Canada, Hungary. Dubai. I'm sure there's more. Forgetting some, I'm sure. Cool. Yeah, we'll go over that one. I'll write down. So far we got Apple and Jamia. Albania? You're in Albania? Wow, that's just the most fascinating thing to me. That's almost just like the coolest part, I think, of all of this is just get to speak to so many cool individuals from around the world. Find out how small the world really is. All right. Nice. That's pretty cool, though, too. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here with our news. Go over the weekend rip. Hopefully you guys haven't been totally preoccupied with crypto over the weekend. But, of course, last week, pretty much every major index climbed. The Dow pretty much was the only one that was lagging, just up 1.5%. But NASDAQ up 4.2% last week. And, of course, one of the biggest things... odd lots. I would really like to know your hedging strategy with your long-term holdings, especially if one holds odd lots and not in hundreds. Very good question. We'll mark that. Can I go over AMD? Yeah, if you'll hop here, it'll be a little bit easier. Okay. I can write that down, though. I'll write that right here once I get done with the news. Yeah, anything you guys write as far as tickers that you guys are watching, try to keep it to one at a time just so that everybody gets a chance. I'm gonna bug everybody one more time in the Discord. Tesla. Okay. All right, guys. So beyond those major ETF moves, this week's major news, or the most anticipated, is of course our earnings. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to StockTwits here, and so earnings is going to be it's an electrifying week for sure. So right off the bat, Monday. Headlining is going to be Tesla, which of course we can probably, I'm sure somebody's probably asked. I think, yeah. So I'm sure a lot of people are anticipating. I've had people DM me about Tesla's chart and what could potentially happen. So it is at a very pivotal place. But Tesla kicking off earnings on Monday. We got Lockheed Martin, Logitech. Meds is actually an interesting one to keep an eye on, but other than that, not the most electric. But Tuesday, my gosh, what a day to be a trader. So right off the bat, we have Visa, AMD, Apple, Starbucks, Microsoft, Google, GE, QuantumScape, TDoc, Interphase, 3M, UPS, Waste Management, Corning, which is if you don't know who they are, they work with Apple, making the ceramics. So, Boston Scientific, even Cake is one that can move really well on earnings. And then moving past that, on Wednesday, we have Facebook, Boeing, Ford, Tilray, Shopify, PayPal, Pfizer, QCOM, Spotify, McDonald's, Spirit Airlines, Vail. I mean, I could just keep going forever. Thursday, of course, another big week. I mean, you guys get it. MasterCard, Twilio, Nokia, Amazon. Friday, we got Cat, Chevron. So big names, big week. Now, what you could do is you go look historically and see how the market behaves after this week. And if you go and you look at how the market has cyclically behaved, post-COVID, we have pulled back about 5 to 10% and then bounced back. Now, this earnings is coming in times of rising inflation, another Delta variant. So I'm anticipating, and I'm watching what senators and those big whales are holding, whether they're going to be selling. I'm paying close attention to that because that's what happened last time. We saw big sells coming in, and that's the beauty of people like Quiver Quantitative. If you don't know them, they're fire because they're trying to bridge the gap so that investors can watch that kind of thing. There's a lot of different other places that go or that people watch for to keep an eye on what big money is moving, but there's a lot of things riding on this earnings season. And those of you who are long-term, if you're up, think about taking a hedge, because Apple passed 150 this week. Okay, so I'll go ahead and we'll go deeper into earnings. I'll recap the news because I have a lot to unravel here. I want to give you guys a good look at Apple. I think Apple presents a good case on why going into August and the fall, really probably till October, we're going to see the market looking a little bit ugly. And I think after earnings season, we'll see that. I will check on Moderna if you want. Let me check on Moderna. In that, if you guys want to hop on, I just stuck this to my chest because it's the only place I could put it. But if you guys want to hop there, I will chart that for you. You guys can see my screen rather than my face. Surprisingly, not much technical analysis here on the face. All right, I got Moderna and Mamat. Okay. So anyway, we got big earnings. That's going to be what's moving along. In fact, let me throw this: 859 earnings companies will report earnings this week, and of course the big ones. And let's see here. Yeah, that's another thing that I was going to bring up here. The majority of the earnings here holds the majority of the NASDAQ and the majority of Spce. So these earnings are very pivotal on how the rest of the year is going to go. Now, of course, that's not thinking about rising inflation and the Delta variant and all that other good stuff that could play a part in market direction. But anyway, so Robinhood. They're going to be dropping their IPO. I think it's on Thursday. So mark your calendars to short the. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so Hood is going to be open for trading. Right now, it says that. That's funny. So Robinhood CEO actually, both CEOs forfeited their salaries about a month ago. I thought that was very funny, but it was almost admitting that they were about to get extremely wealthy off of what they probably anticipate traders buying their stock. I don't know. That could happen. I don't know. There's a lot of people who still love Robinhood, but regardless, I think it's going to be an interesting IPO. I think you guys should definitely watch it. It's not one that I'll be watching it for momentum anyway. I may even scalp it and see how that goes. But Robinhood has reserved about 35% of its shares for traders on its own app. It's made possible through the company's new IPO Access service. With IPO Access, users can log on to the Robinhood app and reserve a set number of shares for certain IPOs. That being said, I'm personally for a long-term investment not going to be taking a position. You guys are more than welcome to, but that's where maybe I do bring in a little bit of morals into the trading world. They've done too much to stop investors, and I'm sure they are responsible for hundreds or millions of people getting into the market, but probably just as many for losing money and making it seem like a video game when it's not. Anyway, so let's see here. That's really crazy. So investors at the moment have been throwing a lot of money at America's stock markets. In the first half of 2021, global money managers put a record-breaking $900 million into U.S. funds. This shows a demand for U.S. stocks, which were more popular than ever than every other market combined. The $900 million haul comes from investors after investors tossed over $1 trillion into international and emerging funds last year, which dwarfed U.S. inflows by sizable margins. Unfortunately for them, not all markets have done as well as the S&P 500. U.S. stocks have rallied during the COVID-19 pandemic, giving many bulls something to cheer about. Strong earnings continue to push U.S. equities up and to the right, which brings up another point that I wanted to bring up on this earnings week. Sometimes the knee-jerk reaction, is that Bitcoin at 39K? Son of a... All right. That was a master dip buy. Whee! Okay. That is this... oh, man, this is big. This is big, big, big. Oh, boy, pivotal moment for Bitcoin right here. Am I allowed to talk about this right now? I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking. What is happening right now? Well, first off, Bitcoin. I think it's worth taking a little break from the news here, guys. Right now, as we speak, Bitcoin just hit its 200-day EMA after breaking downtrend a couple days ago, resting today at and on top of its 20-day or 50-day EMA. This is pretty big, and I want to bring something else to your attention. Before people get really wrapped up in this run, I am putting my price target right now, guys, at 44K for Bitcoin before we see a pullback. That would likely start the build for this major or a way larger reversal pattern that could potentially happen. This is running off of Bitcoin's high and running off of this nearest resistance where we got this rejection here, and then anticipating a potential resistance, like I said, at 44. I'd really say 45K, but I don't want to get overzealous with that price target. I've been waiting for this for a minute. I had a feeling that we were going to... Okay, so let me use this as a teaching method. You can be as bearish as you want, but if it doesn't make new lows after some time, it's going back up. And it's usually on a catalyst, but eventually that bearish sentiment wears off. And until shorts can force it down even further, that's not to say that Bitcoin still might fall into and below the 20s. But if it can break and hold this mark right here at 38K, more than likely Bitcoin is going to find itself in a major consolidation after this rejection here. So those of you who are playing Bitcoin, if you close today, Bitcoin, whenever it cycles into the next day, if you close above 38.7, I would probably stay long on it till 45. That's what I would do, of course. This is not investment advice. What's an EMA? It has not rejected the EMA, so to say. Looking at the 5-minute here, these are dip buys. These are fat. Right now it's on the 5-minute already riding its 9. Let's see here, 15-minute. Yeah, a perfect wick off of 39K. Yeah. Everybody was wrong. That's crazy. Everybody said bull market 29K. Reversal pattern, baby. That's a TikTok. I made a video a while ago about that. Hey, what's up, Daniel? Yeah, Raj, Apple's going to sell off for sure for Apple. So, all right, guys. Anyway, I was wrapped into Bitcoin. That's pretty exciting and worth watching. So, those of you in the crypto space right now, that EMA right there that I'm watching, you can see that it's the body. Look where the body rests. The body. 3850. Or not 3850. Hold on one second. 38.7K would be that mark. I'd say that you need to break and hold above that. Now, what's fishy before I go, and this is, I'm saying 45K if you can break this level, is the volume. The volume is abysmal and not very high right now. But we'll see if we get a pickup here. If not, then I said this a while ago on one of my lives that Bitcoin could very well go and make a rounded bottom. So it already has the look that it makes when it kind of bottoms out that way. And eventually, like I said, if it just never breaks this level, it's not going to until something truly negative takes it down. Okay, so anyway, guys, I'm watching Bitcoin, but I'm not going to go too crazy. Economic calendar, write this down. These are big, don't forget these. Consumer confidence, 727. That's on Tuesday. That's at 10 o'clock, or a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern time. 728, FOMC rate decision at 2 p.m. Eastern time. 729, GPD advance for Q2, 8:30 Eastern time. I'm unfortunately blanking on ADVs. I hope that's advanced. Personal income and personal spending on 7:30, 8:30, as well as PCE prices and PCE core at 8:30 Eastern time as well. If you guys are curious about a good place to look at an economic calendar, this is a good site. This is briefing.com. I'll post this link in the YouTube chat and on Discord for y'all. Super important. Don't forget to have this in your holster. You need to have this when you're preparing for swings and looking into the future banks, that kind of thing. You can see here what's going on. Yeah. Pretty cool. July 26th through July 30th. Go to the next week. Construction spending, factory orders, ISM non-manufacturing index, trade balance, non-farm. So cool stuff there. Anyway, I see you, Bitcoin. CRM. Yeah, I can chart that. If you wanna hop on the link right here. That way I can actually show you the chart. Okay, so again, we already know earnings is coming this week. But other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and we are. Oh man, I got a 15-minute reminder there. So we are going to go over our watch list for this week, and I'm keeping it narrow and keeping it tight because I see a couple of different setups. I thought about Roku short just off of it's just reached crazy highs. I imagine it will gap up. I know that sounds even crazier. Of course, if futures continue to move, Bitcoin's moving. Maybe we see, and you know what's crazy is we saw all of those riot flow. Did you guys see that on Friday? All of that riot flow, all of that. I even bought SOS on as a dip buy the other day in pre-market. I still have some. Yeah, that's kind of crazy that all that riot flow came in. But anyway, going into this week, one of the main tickers that I'm watching, and we're before I go in, I'm sorry guys, I'm miscombobulated right now. Before I go into it, because Microsoft's one of the top ones, we have to go over the queues. So we've talked several times about the support, this bullish support that we've been holding, and whether or not we were going to reclaim it. That was a big discussion that we talked about last week. Now, this support, and I could probably even make sure that I have it correct. Perfect. Okay, so this was that support line here, and I had anticipated with that narrow price action that we either needed to pop and make that new high and hold that support. So as you can see right here, the Qs, right, broke this support, made a correction, right, and climbed back up on top of this support, reclaiming the bullish. Oh, motherfucker. Excuse me. Sorry. Cool. Anyway, reclaiming that support. What needs to happen going into this next week is a hold. It needs to hold that. And I imagine with earnings season, there's going to be some fluctuation, and it may be the safest place for somebody to put their money rather than trying to bet on every individual earnings, right? If overall the earnings are good, maybe we see correlating movement from our ETFs, which is why we need to take a farther look out and see exactly what we have going on with the Qs. So normally, when the Qs get too far away from their bullish moving averages, in this case, the HMA is where we bounced off of on Friday. And another thing that I was going to bring up was the fact that we hit this Bollinger, and I know I'm not much of a I can't say the word. I don't know why. I know all sorts of words in my life. Bollinger Bands. You guys are just going to have to accept me for who I am. I'm sorry. So the BB bands, that's easier. The BB bands are kind of where the Qs, we've seen multiple times. Sometimes they climb above them, but that's usually where you see weakness. Another thing, low volume, retail pumping type of movement. This is making me skeptical of continuation going into this week. Yes, everything looks good. And it's even worth taking a look at flow. So if we go here, we look at flow. Hopefully. Okay. All right, so if we look at the Qs, and this is, I think we talked about it on Friday, a lot of red. And the Qs, 368 puts. Look at that. $1 million. Those are called golden sweeps. There was 999 contracts at $1,000 a piece for puts for the 368 strike. Now, that's where the Qs are now. That's a big hedge. And these expire, if I'm not mistaken, 9/17. So they're worth watching. Watch the value of those contracts, and of course, you're going to watch them. Whoever unloads those puts, they're going to end up. You're going to see the value of the contracts drop. But and that's not to mention the 997 right above that for just a little bit more. That's also going to affect the price of those contracts, so you might even be able to see when this person exits those positions. But 368 is a major hedge, or possibly somebody just calling the top. But even then, you see 820, 368 puts, 10, 15, 350 puts as more of a targeted bet. And then as well, you've got SPY, Qs, everybody kind of staying in the money, which in my opinion means that people really don't know whether we're going to see a bottom, but they do see low volume as we run up to a major resistance. And I doubt that we get really far above our Bollinger Band. And I really feel that between now and tomorrow, that we may see the Qs pull back, which may not be the worst thing for the Qs, except for we just reclaimed this support. So the Qs are going to need to, if they pull back, they're gonna need to hold 367, right? Which may not be that big of a move, and if we get a bounce there, that would allow us to hold. And you'll notice that when I go over my watch list, a lot of the stocks have that similar tension building as the Qs do. So it's worth looking, setting alerts on, and watching for continuation or and as far as volume is concerned. Because like I said, if you go look at the daily, the Qs are showing weakness as we run up and show strength. So definitely something to look at if you guys are looking to hop on. Okay. Good evening, everybody who's just joining us. All right, guys, so we got the Qs. We're going to look at SPY. Same thing. Chupapi. This one is... Sorry, I've been watching that kid's videos way too much. It's stuck in my brain. Anyway, I'm the worst. So same things as the Qs, and same thing as Apple, and same thing as Microsoft, and the same reason why if we don't get a bounce, I'll take it on the break, and I'll likely play this to the downside. So right off the bat with SPY, pretty much ending the day with a bull flag on support. That's awesome, but we're also pretty crammed up against our resistance. Now, if you look kind of cyclically, right? So take a look right around here on the hourly at SPY. So SPY gapped up, right up against that Bollinger Band, pulled back to support, and then even though we weren't that far from that band, still made considerable highs and held that. So I'm looking for the same thing here. If we can get a bounce tomorrow around basically 439, and of course we have those puts, I would suspect that it runs to 440.65. That would be that first price target. Now, you see that Bollinger Band kind of pulling down, or it's kind of looking like it's going to almost force it to pull back in a way. In my opinion, because of this super duper tight price action here, I do think that SPY is likely going to pull back. The first level is 438.25. Of course, that was a previous breakout level. I tell people all the time, anytime you get a breakout or even a breakdown, you're usually at some point before you move lower or higher, you're going to retest that same level. If you see right here, this is technically a breakout level, right? Because we break out and we make a new high. And then what? We go and we retest that same breakout level. We break out here, we retest. So you'll notice that's a very cyclical movement within the market where we break out and we retest. We break out and, well, we never retested there, but you get the point. So a lot of the times you'll see that movement there. All right, guys, sorry, I just want to make sure I was keeping up with you guys on the commenting. So all right, so anyway, with SPY, I'm going to be watching for that bounce. Might be good for small spurts or small movement to the upside, enough to keep the market up. So hopefully we see stocks like Apple and Microsoft kind of run up. But like I said, we're going to get to Apple here in just a second, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on earnings with Apple. And just to not keep you guys here in anticipation for something, if you're just here for Apple, I think Apple pulls back because I think it's already priced into earnings. So if that's what you're here for. Sure. If you want to hit this right here. And I'll get to your guys' questions in just a minute. Okay, so we got SPY. We are going to go ahead and take a peek at the Dow. So we basically talked about how the Dow had to break this shoulder line, otherwise it was going to be a mess. And thankfully, we did just that. We did actually break that shoulder line and made a new high at that target. Right, I'm going to actually turn off these Bollinger Bands. Made a new target here at 35K. Awesome. But we need to see more strength. Very low volume, not much conviction on that move. You'll notice that a lot of industrial stocks didn't have as strong of a days as I would have liked to seen when you see the Dow move the way that you saw it move last week or on Friday. So with the Dow, I would imagine that we could see, or more than likely we'll see, a retest. Maybe a retest around I don't know, with like 34.9, maybe not such a terrible one. Maybe even a sector rotation, because Qs and all of these SPY and tech related stocks have earnings this week. Like I said, 859. Maybe we see a sector rotation back into industrials. Even though inflation is high, that sector rotation doesn't have to be permanent. You'll notice that those sector rotations rotate quite often, especially this year. We've seen dozens of them. Okay, alrighty, so thank you everybody who has left a like. I appreciate you guys, and so do the algorithms. All right. Anyway, so with the Dow, we've got that one pretty much nabbed. My opinion, anywhere above 35K, and we're just aiming for the 35.1. After that, I'm not too sure we're going to see that, but again, I'm kind of banking on a little bit of a pullback going into tomorrow. So we got the SPY, QQQ, IWM. Worth taking a look at here. This one, really interesting movement, kind of scary in a way, but nonetheless, I see it as a little triangle forming here. So I think we talked about the potential for an uglier, like inverse head and shoulders, but that was kind of blown out of the water once we made that new high, and then just a complete drop on IWM. Now we've seen a lot of pennies running and small cap stock running, except for like some of the memes and stuff like that, but a lot of those coming off of rebounds rather than anything else. So I see a reversal pattern here kind of forming on IWM. What it looks like to me is you have this downtrend forming, and of course we like to see those breaks in downtrend for at least a short-term play. But this one, I would imagine anywhere below 318, you got another retest of 316.65, somewhere in there, and that would likely complete a potential reversal pattern. Of course, if you break that low, that pattern is blown, and then you could potentially take it for a downside move below 215, and that would be if earnings was terrible and the world coronavirus, But anyway, I see this as a consolidation pattern that will likely reverse, and so one more leg down is not out of the question, but also a reversal out of this setup is not far-fetched at all either. As you can see, when IWM drops, it drops pretty hard. So if it's going to do so, it's going to do it right around 218. And like I said, my target at that 218 break would be 216.50, or maybe even I'd just say 216.50 on that one. So, but anyway, all right. So let's go ahead. I know that you guys have been sending me your request. And I will get to them in just a second. I'm just going to go over my brief and short watch list. Of course, this does not include penny stocks. A lot of those, I'm waking up really, really early in the morning, and that's when I'm going and I'm looking for pennies, because a lot of it I need to see the catalyst as it comes in. And so if you guys are up early, make sure to hop on the Discord. I actually may even stream, if I can get my face looking halfway decent in the morning early enough, I may even go live to trade pennies. Those of you who do trade, not pennies, but small caps, $2-3, smaller price stocks. So, but I will be going live. I'm going to be trying to do that more frequently, but I am on live quite a bit, so I don't want to overdo it. Alrighty. Okay, guys. All right. So I took a position on Microsoft, and I'm thinking I might get out of it. I took it last week, and I took it a couple of days ago. And as much as I've been digging the movement on Microsoft, and I'm really bullish on it overall, it has a lot of room to drop. and I want to show you guys what I mean. So I think previously I spoke about my price target. Actually, a while back, I spoke about my price target on Microsoft. And I basically said that if we could break the 280 level, hold the 280 level, and this was down in the 250s, 240s, because I remember we've been playing Microsoft on this run from 255 and up. So good run here. But holding inside of these channels, and I know it's a little bit messy here, but holding inside of these channels, this has shown great strength. But with the earnings season coming up, I am anticipating a pullback. And this is going to be a short story that is similar to Apple's. So Apple has plenty of room to run, I think, in the future. So does Microsoft. And I think that what is happening here is our earnings are already priced in. So I think that it's inevitable to know that Apple and Microsoft are both going to do really, really well. For the most part, thanks, man. But I think that, the numbers are great. I don't think Apple can have bad earnings, but for Apple, they have higher expectations. And those expectations are extremely high in relativity to any other company. Probably I wouldn't say existence, but they're high. And so with Apple and Microsoft, I believe that this last run that we've seen, like I said, from the 240s after earnings, right? So after earnings this last time, we saw a pullback and flat trading. I'm thinking that we get the very same thing. My prediction, I guess, for me is back down at least into the 280s. And this one could even go as low as 280 flat. Right now, with such a dramatic rise in price, I would like to see it hold this channel, this linear deviation that I have. If it can hold this channel, then I will remain bullish on it. But I want to also go down here to the hourly. So this is not preferred price action when you're moving up into new highs. The volume, as you will notice, has pretty much stayed consistent for 3 days straight. And as you can see as well, the MACD, although showing relative strength, is starting to cool off. So more than likely, at least tomorrow, we should see, and like I said, this is my thoughts, but we could see a pullback and a retest of this previous support. So basically a support test. And that would likely come, I would say, about 287, right around there. Now, that's going to be where we need to get a bounce. And again, we have earnings right after that. So we don't have much more room to run. If we get one more earnings pop, that is probably going to be caused by retail. I'll go ahead and here, because there's multiple different scenarios. If it gaps up, I'll take a short immediately, probably for the gap fill, and then we'll evaluate it as it comes. If it gaps down very lightly and more or less around a moving average where it could bounce off of, I'll watch it for that bounce and take it for the gap fill up. If that gap fill gets filled and it does it with relative volume or good volume like it has had, where it's not too high but high enough to make a good move, then I'll take it at that high back up to 290 and maybe to like 291. But 290 is a big enough. I don't think that we go to 300. I don't see Microsoft making that move after this earnings week. So I am anticipating a pullback. My first target is going to be the 285 level, and then more than likely the 284.30 level shortly after. That's not just for Monday. That's probably going into the rest of the week, unless earnings is just insane and somehow finds a way to move all three, or basically the whole entire market in its favor. But of course, that's why we process this information as it comes in and try not to predict what we can't possibly know unless we have insider information. And if that's true, then we're going to jail. We don't have that. Alrighty. So anyway, with Microsoft, I will keep it pretty simple. Anywhere below this, it's pre-market high, pre-market low. I'll take it back down to support, and that's kind of where we'll evaluate it there. Which brings up Apple, because this one is not looking as great as Microsoft, but similar setup here. A break in downtrend, but high consolidation in price action that I don't like to see. I don't like brand breaking new highs and then making 50% depletion moves and then making new highs and losing 50% of that move. Same thing. So here there is the possibility that Apple goes and hits 149.25, or if it extends itself, I would say for 149.50. That may be enough to fake out retail and get retail to buy into that move, where they'll likely short it going into earnings. Why do I feel like earnings is priced in? Take a look at the chart with me. So last earnings was on April 21st, right? And after earnings, we basically went from 137 back down to 121.60. With that move that we got on Apple, we pretty much traded like crap. And I remember seeing loads of $90 calls, loads of people thinking it's going to break support. It's Apple, people. That'll never happen unless they do something stupid. So anyway, my opinion is, if you look at the chart, we haven't seen this type of move on Apple since, let's go and look. I would say a similar move was almost pre-split, right? So you get, I would say split obviously moved probably quite a bit higher. But even going back to, let's see, August of 2019 is a comparable move until December. And as you can see on Tesla or on Apple, even if you look at its moving averages are very far away, all the way at 143, which is pretty much the previous all-time high zone. And again, we're approaching all-time highs as we move into earnings with a reversal pattern. So like I said, guys, I'm going to take Apple short at a break of this pattern here, and my target is likely going to be, and this, I'm not playing earnings, guys. I will sit on cash. If you want to play earnings, that's on you, but you could just give me the money and I won't make it go away. I'm just kidding. But anyway, that's what Astro says basically every time. But no, if you play earnings, I play earnings too. Know it's a gamble. Know that you have to be very careful. Know about IV crush. Right, so you're gonna lose. You're likely to lose money regardless, just based off of IV. So I'm watching Apple short after earnings. Now I have been known to take some out of the money calls that are a little bit further out if the price is right, if I feel that way, and that's paid off sometimes. Snapchat would have been a great payoff in that regard, but nonetheless. I do think that Apple will be likely moving short. I hate to say it, but again, this one moving on low volume. So if you go look at the daily, you'll notice that the last three gap fill moves, or these strong moves to the upside, were all done off of low volume. And just as I said, I think I did like 13 one-on-ones today with people. I was talking all day. And the number one thing that I heard myself say was volume, because that is number one. And it's the best indicator. It's your best friend. It's everything, because without volume, you don't move. Without, and that's to the up or the downside. And so with volume, if you move without it, then that's allowing retail to send it and pump it while you know, and market makers have already made their money. Right? If any dip buyers, which we know there are, as far as House, Senate trading, I'm sure plenty of long-term bear bullish, 20%. That's over. I mean, what do we move from 125 to 150? That's a great move, especially if you're heavily invested in Apple. It's not a terrible time to take a little bit of profit off the table. Like I said, this is my opinion, and I could be wrong on the entirety of earnings season, because earnings is its own thing. But looking at the cyclical nature of the market, I have to make a decision based on that. And my decision is also based off of volume and price action and technical analysis. And all three seem to be holding hands with a pullback. So that's my opinion on Apple and Microsoft. So I'm looking at those short. One thing that I'm looking at short is Roku. Why? Because Roku just went freaking absolutely, made like a month's move, and basically it just made like a month's move and one daily candle. If you've never seen stocks on drugs, Roku is one that is actively working through a drug habit of moving up almost 100 points a day. So with Roku, after it's moved had such a big move, there's definitely more room to run. We're up against all-time highs. So I don't know what I was drawing there. That looks like some type of evil eye. But anyway, volume was great. Volume wasn't insane. Look at volume here. Look at volume here. And the moves weren't even comparable to the volumes that we had here. What do we have? August 4th. Earnings are coming around. Let's see here. If we go out till next week, here we go. Roku, where are you at? Roku, right here, after the bell. So we have our earnings coming up. What did we just talk about? Earnings likely already being priced in. And guess who's going to dump the boat on you guys, but on retail, market makers and long holders and Nancy Pelosi's. They're going to dump it because they've made their profit. Now, again, Roku could go and hit 487.10, that all-time high mark. That would be my target to the upside. But I want you guys to also look at how many hourly green. We didn't even have one red candle on the hourly for Roku. It did finish the day below that HMA, which will likely be where it struggles with. So in between there, I will likely play it. And I'm going to go ahead and, where are we at? Where's VWAP? So VWAP is all basically 50%. So anytime a big move is made, usually the retracement or the consolidation will take up about 35 to 50% of that previous move and kind of consolidate and bounce up from there. VWAP is pretty much all the way back. Why am I getting flow? Oh, it was somebody typing. I was like, what? Did I just talk all night in the market? Oh. Apple don't break. I don't think Apple's going to break. I think Apple's just going to retrace. Because Apple's, we're, like I said, maybe this is earnings season, so it's a flip of a coin. But I'm not willing to take a coin flip. I'm always looking at both sides of the coin. But in this case, we've ran so hard up into earnings, and every time that happens, we pull back. So that's my thoughts. I think we pull back. And Nancy's purchases are pretty lit, but even she probably takes profit at some point. I did not discuss Amazon, but I will write that down now. Oh. Nope. Know your letters, Garrett. There we go. That's a Z. Earnings and Bitcoin news. Got you. Yeah, I've seen Bitcoin news coming out on them. Spot. DHI. Brody retraced your message. Was that a ticker, my guy? Tesla. Tanner just slid into the chat with violent thoughts. This man just walked in and said Tesla will die. It's pretty dark, dude. I'm gonna take a bite of this donut. I'm sorry, I'm starving. Oh, you're good. Sorry. I gotta stay hydrated. I've been talking way too much. I'm pretty sure I woke up my ancestor today. I was talking so much. Whoa. Yes, Tate. Yeah, we're gonna go over those. Sorry. What's that mannequin doing behind you, Raj? Don't you play, bruh? What do you mean? What is it doing? Is it moving? Because our house is definitely haunted. It's about 130 years old, 40 years old. It's clothing is being ladeth upon it. What are my thoughts of the CCI Lucid merger? I'll look. All right, let's rock this. So anyway, with let me get my. Yeah. So, ooh, look at that. So my Bollinger Band actually has a little bit more room to run, right around. Remember that I said 284. So maybe a run. We get one more. Now, if we gap up, that's a different story. If we gap down, that's perfect. If we open flat, that's perfect. If we gap up, it's going to fill that gap. So don't take it at the bell, or you're gonna get ripped. Or if it gaps up far enough, it hits that target and pulls back and fills the gap and beyond. Like I said, huge move, and if it goes any further, it's definitely going to come down. It's on my short list. I will take it above the HMA to the upside, above 275, 270, maybe 275 I leg in, 278 I leg in, probably 480s, and then I'll probably take it to the upside, staying out, or staying, obviously, talking Monday and Tuesday. Anytime after that, weeklies are off limits for Roku, unless I'm scalping them. So anyway, Roku, Microsoft, Apple, of course, we have our pennies that we were talking about earlier, that I'm likely going to be taking to the, or I'll likely update you guys in pre-market on those guys. So. What? Makeups from pre-market trading? Yeah, I will wear makeup for pre-market if that's good. I did just eat a donut. Yes. Austin. That was 9:41. I did that a couple of minutes ago. So. Another good thing, guys, that we can throw up here is our pivot points. You'll notice that we blew through every single pivot point on Roku. Oh, man, I'm just thinking back to what I said last week on how I thought that Roku was going to blast off, and that's exactly what we did, but popping right off of that pivot point. But anyway, that target of 490 stands. And I'll update you guys as it goes, but I'm looking to take that and let me just clarify. I'm not looking to take this like long short, like I'm not looking to take an extended position on it. I'm looking to scalp it to the downside. But okay, let's go. It's kind of it for the most part. I'm just watching kind of like those basic stocks. Jamia was actually one that I was looking as well. And the reason why I'm watching this one is because it is, and I do hold long-term equity, but does look like it's potentially about to go break that $20 level. And I believe that will likely happen tomorrow if we do not bounce off of this this level here. You can draw a line here where our previous support was. So anywhere below that, I believe we're going to hit that 1950 level for Jamia. So I'll be watching that one short. And again, I'll update you guys on my list tomorrow. I've seen a couple of different charts that look rather interesting. Boeing looked interesting, but I'm just trying to narrow these down into stocks that that are relatively easy to play, because I think that things are going to get a little bit choppy going into the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to take things as they come with momentum, with earnings sentiment, And like I said, we know that Microsoft and Apple have earnings, and Tesla has earnings. We'll go ahead and we'll do Tesla's chart here, because Tesla is nearing a major resistance. So going into, I believe, let's see, what was your name on Discord? Let's see here. Where are you at? There it is. So Atlas, right? It's funny, we have an Atlas. So I have a little bit of a different resistance or downtrend than you do. I saw yours coming, and I see why you did that, as if there was a correction, right? Some market makers made that correction, and it does line up to an extent. But my iPad or my phone just died. That sucks. Anyway, so for the most part, Tesla has held this trend line, and not only that, it's now almost completely ignored it, in a sense where you'll see that coming off of this high, it gapped up above that high, made this flag where everybody thought it was a bull flag. I was actually short on it because of the gap below it. The gap got filled, and then I noticed that pulling off of these previous lows, that Tesla has failed to make a new high ever since hitting that 695 mark, $700 mark. This right here is usually not a bullish move. I think that Tesla, and here's the thing, Tesla's been down in the 560s before. This is nothing new. But I think this is the last straw for Tesla. Tesla has to show positive earnings. That is a good catalyst to deliver something. It needs to show good news. What about its Bitcoin purchase? What has it done between the last earnings right around April? Our delivery numbers, what are the expectations? So we'll be watching Tesla, of course, tomorrow, and anticipating potential moves, but we have to know where we're at. We are making a weak move, a low volume move down, and just barely at that support. So Monday, there's one of two things that happen here. Anywhere above 663, retail is going to pump this one back up to 669. Watch for a really parabolic move. If it does not, and it holds below that 663, 660 level, and just consolidates in this level, I'm anticipating a potential pullback into earnings. That would likely lead us at least back down to 595. That would be the first psychological level that I would anticipate, and then eventually probably back down to 556 on Tesla. Apple, Tesla, Jmia. All right, I'm just marking these off my list. Here's the rumor on Amazon and Bitcoin. Amazon definitely lining up Bitcoin payments and tokens. Amazon is looking to accept Bitcoin payments by the end of the year, is investigating its own token by 2021 or 2022. The internet news set tongues wagging over the weekend after publishing a job advertisement for a cryptocurrency and blockchain lead. The vacancy clearly a signal of the company laying down a pathway towards cryptocurrency transition called for somebody who can leverage domain expertise in blockchain, distributed ledger, and central bank digital currencies and cryptocurrency. Okay. This is just going to set things in motion to set up cryptocurrency payment solutions in some point in the future. This is a full-on, well-discussed, integral part of the future mechanism of how Amazon will work. Very interesting. I'm just scrolling over this time, but because we're nearing 10 o'clock here, and I gotta get caught up because I'm trying to make myself go to bed on time. I struggle with it. Yeah. Let's see here. 663 level goes to 690 or pull back to 595. Yeah, so I mean, like, you're holding this support here. Now watch out for the first initial pullback to ride this previous support. So, and let me fix it because it's a little. Sometimes I just be charting and I forget to erase stuff. So there we go. Yeah, okay. So watch for a potential pullback to the first mark. I would say looking at this angle is probably 630. That would be my target for tomorrow on a pullback. So if we pull back into earnings, 630. If we pump, I know it sounds ridiculous, but of course anywhere above 663, 664.71 is where it rejected previously, but 663 seems to be the consensus. And then a break past 665 with volume or with strength, and you could see a run up to the resistance. If you'll notice, normally the rule of thumb is 3 times and a break, so, or 3 times and a bounce, or breakdown. So in this case we have two, right? So if we did end up running up on earnings and hitting that resistance, getting in retail buyers all excited, then we could end up seeing an immediate reversal, which would go into our technicals, and that reversal would have us down here with our third and final hit on support, which would then give us even more room, giving us kind of just using the distance with math, you could potentially see a drop all the way down to the 615 level, depending on how that goes. So 615, 617.55. Let me actually mark out a couple different linear supports. So this one right here seems to be relatively big. So that would be the 630, 628, and then right below that, we have a good bit of respect, and that one is at right there on the money, 616.55. So it's a bilateral setup here. It could go up first and then back down, and so you got my price targets on that one. I do still have a good bit of NAOV. Just a little bit, not a ton of it's on. Are you still holding a full-size position or something? Edgar, I will do Neo. Yeah, Edgar, I will. I got a whole list of people who requested to do it. So let me get done with those, and I will absolutely get to yours. All right, so all right, so we got Amazon up next. Born in 1964, Jeffrey. All right, so playing into my usual lesson on retest, Amazon, as you can see here, Amazon has pulled off a breakout and retest of our this weekly consolidation or pattern that we've held since July of last year. We've been heavily consolidated. So we did get a nice break, and not only did we revisit that linear support, but we also have this support that we held. Oh, hold on one second. So holding that support as well. So Amazon is showing little volume or little strength, but does have a divergence. So you'll notice here that this rollover, right? You have a little bit of a divergence here where you've got this dip, but you're not actually losing any ground. So right now with Amazon, my recommendation for anybody who's watching Amazon, watch for a potential push to 37. That is my first target here. Let me draw a downtrend here. Okay, so we have that downtrend. We've got a support that is actually really, really far away. And this is actually, the more that I chart it, the more it's starting to look like Apple to me. Let's go to our 5-minute here. So multi-time frame analysis here, guys. This is what I'm doing right now to make sure that I don't miss anything. Okay, so lower time frame support right there, swing low right now, July 21st, all the way into this July 31st high. It does look like on the 5-minute, we are in after hours breaking this little short-term 5-minute downtrend, looking for the pullback to 36.40, and that was a potential previous breakout level for Amazon. So we would need to see a bounce there, and a potential recovery and or a gap up tomorrow. But I would bank on Amazon anywhere below 36.40 for a simple retest of 36.25. Anywhere below 36.25, you have the support that we just talked about running off of this lows, and our 200-day moving average here moving alongside to back that up at 36K. So from this level that we have right now at 36.50, there is still the potential that we could see a retest of our support before we get our next bounce out on Amazon. So just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate this one. Anywhere above 36, it looks like 36.65, and anywhere or above to the upside with the target of 37K, and below, and this is obviously with volume, but below the 36.50 with a pullback to the 36.20. How am I getting these levels? Because I see previous levels of respect, previous rejection levels or resistance or support levels. So my trading view name is Simple Stacks Investments. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and keep it moving here. We got Amazon wrapped up. Jeffrey, look at its high. Is that the high that it really rejected? No way. 36.66. Wow, Jeffrey. Okay, so we got Amazon. It looks like we got MMAT. Thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate it. Meta Materials. Ouchie mama. This one has seen a significant pullback. Of course, obviously affected by something that did not happen in its favor. I'm not quite sure what this company is or what they do. Probably something material related, if I'm not mistaken. But on this one, you're barely holding your HMA. It looks like your nearest support line is actually around 265. And you have earnings around August 17. So I would watch for a bottom around 265 on Mamat here. It does look like you might be starting to pick up a little bit of volume here. You did have a split. That looks like a 1-to-2 split. So that did affect the market immediately and likely brought it down to new lows. I don't know if they diluted the shares or bought back or whatever they did, the details on that. But usually that takes some time to kind of shake off a little bit. So I would suspect anywhere below 264. And your next level is 175, unfortunately. But that's where I see it. So. Anyway, on Meta Materials, before I move on, a break-in or a retest bounce here would likely have a trip back up to $5. So be careful on the $5 mark, and then you have 573 as well, and then past that might be able to pull off a recovery a little bit to 665, but again, I wouldn't expect a immediate jump here. You do have decent volume here at the bottom, but like I said, you're going to need to see a break in downtrend first. So one thing that we can do, let's go to the 15-minute before we go any further. Oh, it looks like I was already charting this. Really? Okay, what's up? Perfect. Okay, so I do see this as a positive. So what it looks like to me here, it doesn't look like negative bear strength. You do have a little bit of squeeze popping here. Watch it above 438. You have bottomed out here to some regards. You only have 275, but just a few little inches away here, a dollar move to the downside. Watch that dollar move to the downside. The volume's pretty low too. You did get that big bounce off of this level. So anywhere above 445, and I think metamaterials might start to finish that bottom out. But if it does see one more leg down here, that wouldn't be the worst, but it would allow for a potential rounded bottom. So this one could end up taking all the way until fall to start to finally rebound if it doesn't end up seeing a bounce back here relatively soon. So if you want to fill me in on what exactly they do, I could add that to my analysis, but I'm not quite sure how those work together. Crocs, I forgot to write that down. That one for Rolly, man. That guy invented that company, I swear. He's a beast with it. Okay, so we got MD Moderna mRNA, that's right. Okay, so included in the S&P, saw a nice breakout here. I do think that you are going to see a retest next week of 340, likely just on technicals. Usually anytime you clear a breakout level and you're about 10% past it, or not 10%, but just a few marks behind it or above it, you usually will see that retest before you move up any higher. You can see right here the 20-day EMA is starting to creep up to that previous high at 340.50. So I would anticipate a little pullback on mRNA, and then you can even draw this downtrend bounce here as well, and you can see that it's lined up with that as a potential support. So watch it to flag into this support, and then before it makes its new high. So maybe set that alert there as it starts to make that downtrend. Make sure you're actively charting it and setting alerts on those trend lines, so that way you can catch that lower time frame break. Because what it will likely happen is it will flag into that support, and then you'll get a strong pop afterwards. So, okay, so CRM here, nearing and obviously reacting very intensely to a previous rejection zone. If we go out here to the daily, you can also see where this didn't end terribly. It did go and try to attempt to fill a gap that was above it, but is struggling at this level with relatively low volume. Now it is holding that HMA, so that looks good. VWAP as well. If you go down here to the hourly, that is what I don't usually like to see as far as like rounded top in a way. So what you have here, and I'll make it really simple for you, is a support right around this 50-day moving average at 245. So I would anticipate maybe not even 245, but 246.10, 246.15, somewhere in that range, and then maybe one last pop up to 250. But CRM definitely doesn't look good in regards to continuation whenever you see massive red candles like that. But again, we know where our support is, and if it does end up pulling back, we know that we could likely take it to the 243 or even 245 mark to the downside. So CRM, we got AMC. Okay, so AMC here, I want to say that it looks good for a reversal, but at least looks good to trade flat for momentarily. Right now it's holding 35.50. Hold on a second. Let's go to the daily really quickly too. So right now it rejected that 20-day EMA inverted hammer here, and right now you're kind of pulling off the same little candlestick where you have that body all bought up, but there's just really low volume. Really, really, really low volume for AMC. Yeah, in retrospect, probably pretty high, but at the moment it has pretty low volume. So I'm not out or ruling out the potential for a support bounce right around the previous level of 30.75. Now it does seem to be respecting this downtrend that I drew. So if I pull this out here, you can see the multiple wicks off of that. There you go. So what's going to need to happen is AMC has to bounce clear $40 again. Really, 42.65 is going to be a big mark. You got a wick fill all the way to 46.50, and if you can break that 46.50, the target of 51.40 or 51.50 is likely in your cards. So. As far as Bitcoin, it's just broken downtrend. It's been heavily consolidated, where it finally squeezed. It could even be a Bitcoin option squeeze as well. Yeah, that's my opinion right now. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and hurry up and get this done. Yeah, of course, not a problem, Fredo. So with AMC, you guys got the gist here. Definitely in need of a bounce in order to hold this support, and see continuation will likely lead it to $40, or at a minimum 42.50. Okay, so we got AMC, we got Spot. All right, so Spot's not looking that great. Spot is holding. There we go. So Spot is holding this level right here. Kind of looks like a Head and Shoulders, not like a crazy intense one. But the good thing, I guess you could say, about CRM is it does have a broken downtrend. But we've seen how that's kind of played out for a lot of different stocks. Just because they broke downtrend doesn't mean that they'll just continue to fall and use the previous downtrend as a support level. So with CRM, anywhere around 237. A break of 237, and you're likely going to see 232.13. It is running right into earnings alongside all the other big ones, and so that kind of anything that I say is still a flip of a coin. So we know where it needs to break in order to see new lows, which could bring it down to the 213 level or 210. It looks like Spotify's previous low is around 212.13, so likely a retest of 213, or even just that 215 level if earnings doesn't go its way. So it does look like it is holding this downtrend right here. So tomorrow you might see a little retest of 225.28, but other than that, anywhere above that 225.28 levels, I would expect. Well, make sure you're evaluating volume. So, oof, I'm getting a little tired right now. Yeah, Ryan. All right, so we got Spot, BHI. What is this one? Am I putting this one wrong? Sorry guys, I'm trying to make sure. DHI. Oh, did I say BHI? Yeah, I did. DHI. Dr. Horton. Here's a who. Looks like you broke out of a nice reversal pattern here. So you're up against a pretty pivotal level with really, really good volume. It looks like earnings has already passed. I would say that your next target is 96.70. You look good actually for continuation. So I would watch it above yesterday's or Friday's high. But the volume is insane. It looks really, really good. And I would, like I said, watch it for that push up to 96.75. So yeah, that's a nice little wedge there. So okay, CCIV. Excuse me. Okay, so CCIV, man, this thing's a mess. Honestly, don't even want to put my thumb on this one too heavy, but I just don't. I mean, I guess like lower time frame, like drawing this downtrend, it looks like it could pop here and at least see a run to 27.50 or 29. But the EV sector needs more catalyst or more oomph in order to send this to the upside. Right now, it just seems like it's just been squeezed or just held up around this level. So if you don't end up breaking that downtrend tomorrow, then I would suspect that CCIV will continue trending down with the first level probably around that $20.75 $20 level, and if it ends up breaking that $20 level, then probably going to see some downside here. You're basically struggling to break out of this $29 $30 range on CCIV here. You've seen multiple bounces up to try and break that, and it's just stayed stagnant. So if it doesn't bounce off of this level tomorrow, of course the immediate level is 750, but it would need to break this downtrend here with the target of 2950, excuse me. So, and that's if meme stocks run. All right, Neo. Sorry, I'm so tired, guys. Just like hit me like a ton of bricks. So Neo on the daily has a pretty large gap to fill here. You can see in pre-market, pretty much just like dumping. And I actually had this play set up to play to the downside, and just ended up dumping in my face. I'm watching. Let's see here. I would say anywhere above or below 43. Actually, mark this level right here. All right, after this one, guys, I think all right, after this list, dude, I'm gonna have to go to bed. I'm about to pass out. I don't know why. I just got hit with I think somebody hit with a poison dart gun or a tranquilizer somewhere. Okay, so I think I talked about this one the other day. And I said that if Neo could bounce here, that it could make a massive inverse head and shoulders. So it can even go and revisit one time, but it's not seeing a whole lot of strength to give it continuation to the upside. It would need to hold this range at least for another day, but if it could end up rebounding and make its way back up to that 48.50 level, then that would be an inverse head and shoulders, and we might be able to see a major reversal on Neo. So right now, I would watch it anywhere above 44.85, and then I will watch it probably below this SMA at 43.20. So, all right, Crocs. All right, so Crocs is making a little triangle here. There you go. So just watch this bilaterally. That's kind of how this pattern does. So watch for a good bounce, and for it to clear in wick fill around 135. Even if it can clear that 135 even, and as you can see it's super duper low volume, then you could see continuation on Crocs. So watch for a wick fill there. It does look like I said, on earnings they usually do crush it, but it has moved, let's see, from 120 to 130 relatively quickly, so it could see a little bit of a pullback, but watch this for a break in downtrend around 133.85, so, or 130, 134, so. 134. 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 Yeah, Neo is just kind of overfilled with that, so. Alright, I don't know if you can see my eyeballs. I'm, for some reason, just hit with the strongest wave, which is good because I'll be up early tomorrow. If you guys are interested in trading pennies with me, we'll be ready to go. I'm sorry that I did, I think, somewhere 14, 13 one-on-ones, including just some quick phone calls, people who wanted to join the group, but had some questions for me, which you should do before you join anything. If you can't talk to the owner and grill him with questions without him getting all sweaty. So I just saw your TikTok account. What's up, John? Currently at 24K on my stock account. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, Ryan, not a problem. Thanks, Stack. Simple Stack Overflow. John, just hop in the DMs. Slide in my DMs. Hop in the Discord. It's the free part of it. And shoot me a DM. If you can't shoot me a DM, add me as a friend, and I'll accept it as soon as I can. And we'll hop on a phone call. Just a brief 15, 20 minutes. And maybe I can help get your compass kind of tightened and see what we can do with that. But what's up, Robert? Sorry, man. I'm gonna hit the hay. Get ready for tomorrow. I'm gonna try and start streaming. Just watch out for a notification on my Twitter or on my on Discord tomorrow morning for me to be live early for pennies and small caps running in pre-market. So, but anyway, thank you guys for hanging out, and yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Your boy's about to pass out on camera.